Greetings, this is Will Whitfield with W3 Productions, and this tutorial might actually turn out to be a two-parter. We are going to model a pretty simple lightsaber of original design with a few inspirations. Model it, the hilt, the beam, and texture it. And if there's enough interest, maybe in another video we'll learn how to do an explosion on it. So this is what we're going for right here. And let's go ahead and get started, because this is going to be probably a pretty long one. So I am using Blender 2.81. Save my changes on that file. To get started, let's see, we are going to need a few preferences. It's advisable that you have the Node Wrangler add-on. I don't know why that's not on by default in Blender, but because it's always helpful. And then also the Tri-Light setup that will help with your lighting, at least for this tutorial. This will do a quick 3-point lighting setup on your object that will follow your object. So make sure those two are enabled, and we're going to actually be working with this default cube. We could do a cylinder, I'm just going to try to use this default cube. So with the cube selected, I'm going to hit N for the properties tab. Let's see, I want to hit Control 2, actually Control 3, to add a subdivision surface modifier with the viewpoint settings of 3. I want to turn the render settings also to 3. Although we may be just applying it anyway later on. Right click on it, hit shade smooth. And for the X dimensions, I'm going to enter a value of 10. And then I'm going to drag my mouse over Y and Z and enter a value of 1.25. Now we're going to hit tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to add some edge loops to give definition to our saber. Control R, roll my middle mouse wheel, get 2 loops. Click to enter. Hit escape. With those still selected, I'm going to hit S, scale, and then X for X direction, and then bring those all the way almost to the end, points, right, like that. And that gives us a kind of a cylinder, not quite perfect cylinder shape. And as we saw in the beginning, the idea is kind of have this and not be too specific in anything. It's going to be wrapped in a cloth or leather. Let's see, we had a kind of a can't remember if we had like a kind of ridge here. We have a kind of a ridge here, a blank part, and then there's going to be some ridges right here. And then this part we're going to have a kind of a large cylinder piece. I imagine that would be a dial of some type that you can rotate and adjust for whatever settings for the saber, and then this will be the emitter part. So let's start down here at the other end. I do want to make a little notch right here, so I'm going to use more edge loops. I'm going to put an edge loop right here in the kind of the middle, just to section off the saber. Then hit Control R again to add some more. I'm going to add one edge loop there. And bring one more in. I'm going to zoom in. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go to face select. Hit Alt, click on that to select all those edge loops. Right, basically a face loop. Hit E to extrude, S to scale. I'm going to hit Shift X to lock in the X direction, and then I'm going to drag this in to shrink that selection. That should be pretty good. And I mean, as you're creating a saber, you can make any changes that you want, make it your own design. Okay, while this is selected, I want to, instead of adding more edge loops to give this more definition, I want to increase the mean crease, but I want to deselect a couple of edges. These horizontal edges, I'm going to hold shift and click on them to deselect them. Now with all the other ones selected, I'm going to hit shift E and drag the mouse away to increase the mean crease. And that gave that inner part more definition. Now to do the same thing, I'm going to hold Alt and click on this edge loop and do the same thing, shift E. That gives that more definition. Same thing here, shift E. And then right here, what do we want to do? I want to select this face. So I'm going to hit 3 on my keyboard for face select, or I could have went right here and did the same thing. I'm going to hit E to extrude, S to shift, and then hit G and X to bring this out some. I think I am going to add an edge loop right here instead of using mean crease. At least on this part. But this one right here, this edge loop, I'm going to increase that mean crease. So that's that, and although a lot of that's going to be covered up by the wrapping. While we're at it, let's go ahead and make sure we name our things properly. I'm going to call this hilt. I'm going to actually give this its own collection. Well, the saber its own collection. So over here, I'm going to hit M to move, and then hit new collection. Call it saber. Okay. Hit Control S. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And call it Lightsaber. Alright, so here we're going to have this all wrapped up, and then I'm just going to add an edge loop here. I think around about here we are going to add our, that's what we had right here, an ignition button. Hit G twice to do an edge slide. I'm going to select this edge loop and do the same thing, move this over, and that's where we want to have our ignition button. So I'm going to hit Shift A while we're in edit mode. Even though I'm going to separate this later, I'm going to add a UV sphere. I'm going to shrink it so that it is within our 2 edge loops. Hit 1 to go to front view, 5 to go orthographic view. G, Z. I want the middle of it to be at the top of the saber, so like that. And keep shrinking it and scaling it till it's within those bounds. And then I'm going to actually, with it still selected, I'm going to separate it because it's going to really give it a lot of vertices. We keep it with the, when we apply the subsurface modifier, we don't want to apply it here on this part. So I'm going to go to object mode, select this only, go to edit mode. Hit 7 for top view, hit C for paint select or circle select. Oh man, before I do that, escape, I'm gonna do face select here. Do the same thing, C, box or circle select, and select all these faces, hit shift or scale S, Z for Z axis, and 0. Hit enter. Hit GZ to bring this down. Sorry if I sound a little distracted. I hear a bird, and it'll sound like it's coming through the microphone, although you probably won't hear it at the end. But the bird sound is like freaking me out. All right, I'm gonna add it. I'm sliding that edge loop over a little bit. I'm gonna add another one here. And then hit face select and select that new face loop that we just created and hit E to extrude, and we're going to bring that down. And that will create the basis for our ignition button. You could do some more to make it more of a separate object if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave that like that. But while we're here, hit 7 for top view. Hit C for circle select. I want to select all these faces, maybe a few more edge loops or face loops. I'm just going to give it its own object group or vertex group. I'll call it button. It'll just make it easier to do things later on, such as applying materials and such. Oops, I don't need this group. Need this group and assign. So I deselect and select only that selected. Right click, hit shade smooth. All right, let's keep on going. So let's go back to the main hilt. Actually, let's call this part right here, call this button as well. Just so we know where everything is. Select the hilt again. Go edit mode. Now we're going to make cut out the piece for our adjustable dial thingy. Say Control R, and we're going to bring the one end of it's going to be right, like maybe right here. Then Control R, and it'll be about this deep or this wide or whatnot. Okay, go back to face select. Pull Alt to select that face loop. Hit E to extrude, S to shift, Shift X to lock in the X coordinates. And I think that should be good. All right. Again, we're gonna do edge select, deselect these corner edges. I'm going to hit Shift E to give it that definition right there. I'm going to hit X-ray mode so I can show you how I'm selecting these edge loops. Shift E, and that gave that the definition that we need right there. Oops. Trying to take off X-ray mode so you can see what's going on. Also, while we're doing this, I might shift back and forth between the matte cap view. So we're on studio lighting now, and I'm going to do matte cap. I'm going to select probably this guy or this guy, just to kind of see what it's looking like as we go along. So if you see me going back and forth, that's what's going on here. Go back to studio for right now. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. So go back to X-ray and edit mode. Select this edge loop. Shift E. Sometimes it's good to go all the way to 1. Sometimes it's just okay to go a little bit less. Depends on how it forms. All right, and now let's do the ignition chamber or whatnot, or whatever you call it. Go into edit mode. I want to do solid view. Let's get rid of X-ray for the moment. Okay. I'm gonna do face select right here. E to extrude. And then E and extrude all the way back. Okay, we'll do some bevel shifting. I mean, not bevel shifting, but the mean crease shifting in a moment. I'll bring this all the way back to here. And then scale it down. All right. So let's select this edge loop. Here. And then Shift E to sharpen that up. Same thing for the inner one. Okay, now yeah, that gave it a little more depth that I was looking for. All right. And now I want to select this forward, this face right here. So with face select, hit 3 for face select. I'm gonna bring this forward or out some in order to give it just, you know, some design, some style. Hit GX. Let's bring it out like that. And then I'm going to rotate, hit RX. Oh, sorry, RY. And then it's to bring it within, hit 1 for front view. Just kind of make it even as much as possible. I might do the same thing for the bottom one. Go back to front view. Just make it all line up, at least visually. All right, let's see what else can we do here. We're going to go back to this part right here. I'm going to do 3 for face select. E to extrude, S to scale. Hit X. So we're actually going to bring it in on the X scale or X axis. Right about there. Give it a little ridges on each side. Then E to extrude, S to scale, and then Shift X to lock that in. Now we're going to go inwards and give it that kind of a indentation right there. Now with that edge or face loop still selected, I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate it. I'm going to scale that up. Hit Shift X to lock in the X axis. And scale it up just almost back to the edge right there. And then I'm going to hit P for separate and then hit selection. Then I'm going to go back to object mode, select that right there. This is just now it is a kind of like a cylinder. I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it adjustment. Adjustment knob or dial, I don't know what it is. All right, with that being done, we're going to go to the modifier properties and apply. Let's see, can we get rid of the, no, we kind of need those subdivisions. So let's go ahead and apply them. Go to edit mode. And I want to, even though we did that, we're going to get rid of these edge loops. So it'll be easier to do the next part. So go to edge select, Alt, select this first edge loop right here, or the second one in line really. And hold Shift and Alt and select each one of these. All the inner edge loops that are vertical. Hit X and dissolve edges. Now we just have these blocks that make up the circle. Alright, with that being done, I'm going to hit A to select all of them, and then go to select, check or deselect, to deselect every other one, but we need face select. So let's do that again. Hit face select, A, select, check or deselect. Now we want to hit E for extrude. That's the scale. Shift X to lock into X. And trying to figure out what the proper height is. Just barely peeking above, I guess. Alright, that should be enough to give it some interesting shape. Go tab to go back to object mode. Let's see, let's go ahead and add a bevel modifier, see how that looks. Okay, now we got kind of a more of a mechanical feel. Let's try 2 segments. Yeah, I like that. That gives it kind of a mechanical gear type feeling. We could have just added a gear, I guess, but this works. So if I was to rotate on the x-axis, you would just get that kind of motion right there. You want it to adjust it. Okay. That seems cool. Alright, let's go back to the hilt again. Go to edit mode. And now we want to give it these type of ridges, kind of inspired by what you would see on Anakin's lightsaber, but at the other end. I'm gonna do a Google search here. Yeah, just, you know, kind of like these bridges or whatnot. Somewhat like them. There are little differences in this design, but it's gonna be at the other end of the lightsaber instead, and not colored black, just a metal color. And while we're at it, I'm gonna skip all that. Let's see, do we need to do anything else before we get to that and start subdividing? I think this is it. So just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and, with the hilt selected, I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate. And then I'm going to send this to a new collection, hit M, new collection, call it backup, in case we totally mess it up. And then we're going to deselect that just to hide it. All right, with that being done, we're going to go ahead and apply our subdivision surface modifier. Go to edit mode. And we're going to start selecting some edges, I believe. So same thing we did over here with this adjustment knob. We're going to do the same thing with this area. Select these vertical edge loops and dissolve them. Hit X, dissolve edges. Select this one, hit GG to move it over. I'm going to slide it over some, just like that. Okay. I'm going to try different ways of selecting these. And then let's see, I'm gonna try, let's do select. Oh man, deselected by accident. Select similar. Let's try area maybe. Because we used a cube and not a cylinder, these are not actually all even, so this is understandable why this might happen. And I might just do something a little different than I did before. So I'm gonna, instead of just being perfectly symmetrical, I might just do every other like this. Okay, let's see how this looks. Hit E to extrude. And then Shift X. Oh, no. Control Z to get out of that. E to extrude, S to scale. That's what I missed. And then Shift X. And then hit S and then X to scale in. I want to scale this in. You know, and understandably, you could have did this a bunch of different ways. You could have just did every other one or whatever. Just make sure you know, it evens out, you know, in the end. But this is, I think I'm satisfied with this. We do have a little bit of ugliness here with at the ends here. So one thing we can do, let's see, I don't think we can do a straight up edge loop anymore because of the geometry. So we could do an edge loop at one end and slide it over, or I'm gonna try one other way before we do that. Before we add more geometry, I'm gonna do X-ray, do vertice select, then hit B for box select. Okay, with all those selected, hit E. No, so this is a situation where main crease really doesn't help. So we are going to have to add a edge loop. So hit Control R to add an edge loop, and then drag your mouse over to slide it over. Almost all the way to the edge. I don't like to commit, and you see when you go all the way to the end, it does change things up. I don't know if that's better or worse, but I don't like to commit to that just yet. Maybe later on if I see we need to, we will, but not right now. And now we'll do the same thing at the other end. All right. Okay, this is one thing I think we're going to do. Let's one for front view. Let's go to the matte cap view right quick. Go to object mode, and you know this, what we did right here doesn't look real impressive at the moment. So let's see what we can do about that. Might need to do a bevel select, but we're only going to apply the bevel to this area. So we need to create a new vertex group just for this. So I want to go to X-ray view. Ooh, we got that geometry on the inside. But that won't be seen, so I guess it's okay if we select it because we're not going to be looking at that. So I'm not too concerned about adding a bevel to that. So we're going to call this, go to object data and call this edges or ridges. Create a new group, call it ridges, and assign it. You know, this is probably bad practice to add things to vertex groups that you don't need, but it's okay. So like, make sure we did that. So by hitting deselect and select, make sure we got what we wanted. Looks like we do. Now we're gonna go to add modifier, bevel. Let's go back to, let's get out of X-ray view. And we're just going to do vertex group and ridges. Now we go back to matte cap. It looks a little bit better. Let's, okay. Probably should went more of individual origins instead of grouping them together like this, but I think we're gonna be okay. I'm just gonna play with segments and width to see if we get any different results. Profile seems to do something a little different. Oops, I went too high with the segments. I'm just gonna leave it at like 6. All right, enough with that. This is it's gonna be a kind of a discarded Jedi weapon, so you know, it wasn't made by the best of the best. You know, somebody once said, you know, a Jedi's weapon should be treated with more respect, but this one is gonna be definitely in need of some care. Anyways, let's go back to studio view, studio lighting. Now we're going to work on the wrap. And this is from another YouTube creator, or their tutorial on how to wrap a object around another object. So I'll try to put a link in the eye above for this. So we're going to add a plane. So add mesh plane. Hit 1 for front view. I'm going to move this over here. Hit 7 for top view because we want this square to be smaller than, possibly smaller than the diameter of the lightsaber. All right, and then we're going to add in 2 edge cuts right like that, just in case we need a little bit more control later. We'll see what happens. Okay, we just want it above and outside of the thing we're going to wrap it around. We're going to be using a screw modifier and also a solidify modifier, but then we're also going to use a shrinkwrap modifier. Not in that order though. So the first thing we need is a screw modifier. So we're going to use the x-axis instead of the z. But I'm also going to use this to select the hilt. You can see now it has kind of wrapped itself around that. And then we're going to leave these numbers alone right here, but we can change the screw definition like that. And then the number of iterations. And we want to go, you know, mostly towards, hit 7 for top view. The ignition button, but not to cover it up too much. And we're going to try to do some things to get it to overlap with itself. I don't think that should be good enough. Now we're going to use the shrinkwrap modifier. So go to add modifier and then shrink wrap. I'm getting lost here. Here we go. Here we go. Shrink wrap. Then we want to choose our object, which is the hilt. Ooh, now, yeah, that for some reason it, you know, shrunk itself all the way to that area, which we didn't want. So let's play with the iterations. You know what? And if you go to the tutorial that I linked to, it will show you what they did. And what they did is they made a kind of a dummy object, which I think we need to do here. And so it won't stretch like that. So that's what we'll do. Let's go ahead and hide our plane. Let's go to the hilt right here. And oops, hit 1 for front view. Go to X-ray view. And I'm gonna select, make sure nothing's selected. Select all these. Hit Shift D to duplicate it. Enter. Leave it in place. Hit P for separate by selection. E for, tab to go to object view. Select just that one. I'm going to extrude this out a little bit. Okay. I think that'll be far enough on that end. So now we're going to change this plane. Let's make it visible again. And we're going to change everything on this plane to be using that second hilt, which is hilt 002 right now. No, okay, select the plane. Hilt 002. Also hilt 002. Actually, let's hide the hilt for right now. Let me see, it hasn't quite gone out of control. Let's see, let's go. Now we can do 6 iterations like we were trying to do before without it going completely crazy. And it's just slightly mess with this. Now we're going to do some other things like add a solidify modifier. And give it a thickness of 0.05. See, we got some better definition. See if we can get a better idea of what we're seeing here. And these shade smooth. Yeah. Giving it a little bit better definition. Then the last modifier will be a subdivision surface. I'm just going to hit Control 2 for that. And we just hide objects. So that's what we're dealing with here as far as that goes. That looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and apply the first 3 modifiers. So apply the screw modifier, apply the shrink wrap, and apply the solidify. So now we technically do not need this hilt object anymore, the second hilt. I don't know what mode that was in, but yeah, select this hilt, delete that. And this plane we're going to rename to wrapping. And then we're going to do some editing. So let's bring back our hilt. Go to edit mode. We're going to try to get this face loop at the very end here. So let's go to face select and alt select and go to X-ray view. I didn't quite get what I was looking for. So I'm not looking for the top of the face, but we're trying to like the top, like the cap of it almost. Okay, so maybe a better idea is go out of X-ray mode and let's get rid of the hilt. Can't do that, so let's improvise. Let's just do the top edge loop like that. And then let's go ahead and hit S for scale. I'm just bring it out a little bit like that. And okay, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's kind of what I was looking for right there. Let's bring back the hilt right quick. Scale everything up a little bit. It looks like it's kind of colliding with the actual hilt. Actually, let's go ahead and hit shift. Was it shift S? Yeah. No, it isn't. Want to right click on it, set origin to geometry, then hit scale to bring it out. There we go. Just want to kind of make everything bigger than the object that is wrapping around. And there we go. So that is the basics of the saber right there. I think we're going to stop right here, and in the next video we will work on, of course, making the saber blade, materials, lighting, and all that, and possibly even making the saber explode. Or that might be a third video. Anyways, thanks for watching. Got any suggestions or questions, please leave them below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos and catch the next one in this series. Thanks, have a blessed day.